Hi guys, quick announcement. So I've been thinking of how to give back to you guys for all the support last season, so I've decided to hold a subscriber giveaway. So I'll be giving away a Fantasy Football Hub Pro membership and also a Draft Hound Pro membership to 2 lucky subscribers. Now these last for the whole of the 23-24 season, and you'll be able to use them to beat your mini league rivals throughout the season. So as long as you are subscribed, you'll be entered into the draw, and I'll announce the winners on the Game Week 1 deadline stream, which will be coming really soon. So good luck for the draw, and let's get back to the video. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and today we're going to take a look at my latest updated Game Week 1 draft for the FPL 22-23 season. There have been a couple of breaking news in the FPL scene where Gabriel Jesus and also Christopher Nkunku are now both injured. Now obviously Nkunku's one seems a little bit less severe as Gabriel Jesus' one, right? So it remains to be seen how long they will be out for, but for the time being it does seem like the template has been broken slightly, and we will have to make a couple of changes to our drafts to kind of adapt to that new information. So in today's video I'm going to share with you guys my latest draft, of course with those injuries in mind as well, right? So hopefully you guys do enjoy this video, and if you do, please give it a like and also subscribe as well if you are new around here. This video today is sponsored by Pooky, which is a football predictions website that is completely free to play. You guys can check it out later on, and I'll talk a little bit more about it as we go along. So let's take a look at my team, my latest team now. The team value is 100 million. Now I know I've spoken a lot about keeping some money in the bank, but because of this shift in landscape of FPL, I've kind of decided to go for some players that initially I wasn't going to go for, and because of that I needed more money, and there are some plans in store to kind of free up money later on if I do want to make future transfers. So the formation I've chosen to go for is still a 3-5-2, which is pretty much the template formation at this point in time. I was tempted to go for a 4-5-1, but thinking about it, 4.5 million forwards is not the best way. I do think like having a 4.5 million defender instead would be slightly better. So in that case I will still go for 2 playing forwards and one 4.5 defender, right? So with that thinking in mind, the formation would just be a 3-5-2, so I'm sticking with it. And in goal, I've gone for Andre Onana, 5.0 million. He was in my previous draft as well. I've chosen him to cover some Manchester United defense, which I think has been slightly better coming into this season. They do look like a stronger defensive unit. Onana, of course, as I mentioned, he will get quite a couple of save points, and also pass completion will be quite high because he is that kind of keeper where he likes to get a lot of passes with the centre backs and the full backs. He also has that kind of Edison range when it comes to kicking long balls up front. So there is also kind of a little bit of assist potential there, right? So 5.0 million, I think we're getting quite decent value for Onana, who is 0.5 million cheaper than Shaw. So he's still my keeper of choice. My 3 defenders are John Stones, Gabriel, and Ben Chilwell. John Stones and Gabriel, both of them were in my previous draft, and they're still in this draft. I do want Man City defensive coverage, and I do think like Stones' positioning at this point in time is the most lucrative one for all of Man City defenders. And then for Gabriel, 5.0 million is a really cheap entry into the Arsenal defense, which has really good fixtures coming into the season, and of course he has good goal threat, as I've been mentioning quite a bit as well. So I will be going for Gabriel. And then Ben Chilwell is a slight difference here. Initially it was Estupinian in this position and then Ben Chilwell on the bench, but I decided to drop Estupinian to a 4.5 million defender, and you will see him on the bench later on. But basically the reason why I've dropped Estupinian and just started with Chilwell in my starting 11 for game week 1 instead of the initial plan, which was to keep Chilwell on the bench and then sub him onto my starting 11 from game week 2 onwards, is that basically I think when it comes to freeing up budget to go for players that you will see later on, I've chosen to go for Estupinian is a player that I think I'm okay to drop, simply because come game week 3, after game week 3, Brighton's fixtures aren't that good. So I will be dropping Estupinian. I will be selling him. So I may as well just start with Ben Chilwell from the start. Take a chance on him playing Liverpool at home. He is a very attacking fullback as well. We did see in preseason in quite a couple of games, he's gotten quite a couple of shots and also very involved in the attack. So who's to say that he may not keep a clean sheet against Liverpool? There is a possibility. It is low, right? But I do like his attacking threat. And at the end of the day, he is a player that I'll be keeping long term as well. So I may as well just go for him from the start, and that's why I've dropped Estupinian to a 4.5 million and just started with Ben Chilwell here. So before we take a look at the midfielders, I do want to talk a little bit about Pooky. So for those of you who are new to Pooky, Pooky is a football predictions game that is free to play and you get to earn monetary rewards. It's super simple, especially for those of you guys who are football watchers and watch loads of football. If you're watching this channel, you probably do that, and this game is perfect for you because all you gotta do is make your predictions and that's it. Right, so in pre-season, I've been playing a lot of the Brazilian league simply because there's no Premier League to play. And the way it works is that I basically set my predictions for all the matches in that particular game week. And what they do is they rank me on a leaderboard against all the other people who have made predictions as well. So for this week, I ranked 58 out of about 400 players, and my rewards are as such, right? Of course, in 58th place, I am in between 40 to 69, so this range here, and my rewards are as such just above me here, right? So as you guys can see, super simple to play. All you have to do is make your predictions and you get rewarded. So let's talk a little bit about the Premier League predictions, because now that the Premier League or the European leagues are back, right, let's make our predictions for the English Premier League. Now, of course, match day 1 starts on 12th of August, so going back a little bit to FPL, do make sure that you set your teams by then. But of course, Pooky has already released the predictions for they released the game for the Premier League, right? So you guys can see I've already made 5 predictions out of 10 in preparation for this particular segment, right? And that's for the Everton-Fulham game, the Bournemouth and West Ham game, Sheffield and Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Aston Villa, and Brentford and Tottenham. So basically, my predictions are as such: 1-1 for Everton and Fulham, so on and so forth for the rest. So let's make a little bit of predictions for the rest of the teams, and I'll show you guys how to play along as well. So it's very simple. For the first match, Burnley versus Man City, I think it's pretty easy. Most of us are going to favor Man City, so I'm probably just going to put 3-0 to Manchester City. I'll set my predictions, and that's pretty much it, right? That's done, and they lock it in there. And let's do the next one. So Brighton versus Luton. Now we're all expecting Brighton to kind of sweep Luton Town away, so I'm going to put 2-0 to Brighton as well, right? Of course, Brighton may score more, but for now I'm putting 2-0. Right, and of course, going down the line as well, there's Arsenal against Nottingham Forest, also a pretty easy one. This one I'm going to go quite high. I'm going to go 4-0 for Arsenal, right, because this is at the Emirates, so I do think like Arsenal will kind of sweep Forest away. And then for Chelsea and Liverpool, I'm going to go for a draw for this one, maybe a 2-2 or a 1-1. I'm going to go for 1-1 for the time being. This is a pretty tight game as well. So there we go. And for the last one, Manchester United versus Wolves, I'm just going to put 2-0 to Manchester United against Wolves. So it's simple as that. All I've done is just set my predictions, and basically what I will be, what Pooky will do is take my predictions, give me points based on them, and rank me on a leaderboard, and then I will get my rewards based on those predictions. So it's super simple to play, and if you guys do want to try it out, there's a free to play version. Now it's this one, the basic league, where it's free to play. You can try it out as well. There are prizes to be won as well, and if you do like it, then you can consider buying a Pooky ball, and that will give you access to play in the other leagues as well. So do try it out. The free to play league is completely free. The link is in the description to create a free account, and you can try it out. Let me know what you guys think of this game. Of course, I do think like it's perfect, especially for those of you guys who are already watching football. You can just load your predictions and then you get rewarded based on them, right? So if you do check it out, let me know what you guys think, and also add me as a rival, and then we can play along as well. Right, so I hope you guys do check it out, and let's get back to the video. So in midfield, I've gone with Saka, Mbeumo, Salah, Bruno Fernandes, and Eberechi Eze. Now one look and you can see that this is a 2 premium draft. Of course, Haaland is up front. So Salah at 12.5 million is a premium, and he's in my draft. So before these injuries to Nkunku and Jesus, I haven't had a 2 premium draft in my own team, but the reason why I've chosen to go for a 2 premium draft for the time being is because I do think like there is an opportunity to do it now, right? If the funds from Jesus or Nkunku can be channeled to this premium in Salah 12.5 million as well, right? So as you guys can see in the midfield as well, Saka is my only Arsenal attacker, right? And if I'm not going to go for Jesus, it's likely that some of you guys will be going for Martinelli or Odegaard as a second Arsenal attacker, but I've chosen to use that slot to upgrade that slot to Salah at 12.5 million. I do think like there is opportunity to make some gains there, so I'll explain more about Salah as we go along, right? So let's start with Saka on the extreme left. 8.5 million, of course. He hasn't left any of my teams, and he's likely going to still be on penalties even though he missed one in preseason. So good Arsenal coverage, nailed 90 minutes, etc. You get the drift with Saka. For Mbeumo and Eberechi Eze, I think it's good to cover both of them together. Now both of them are 6.5 million. Both on penalties for their respective teams as well, it's been confirmed. And of course, the reason why I've chosen to go without Mitoma, who's also at the similar price point of 6.5 million, is kind of the same reasoning as Estupinian. Now, Estupinian, I've dropped him because, as I said, in Game Week 4 onwards, his fixtures aren't that great. But same for Mitoma, where after Game Week 4, I'll be looking to offload him. So if I'm choosing to go for Salah now, I will have to be making some transfers later on to free up funds by selling Salah. So by banking in transfers there already, I don't think I would want to bank in another transfer to take out a Brighton midfielder. So because of that reason, I've gone for Mbeumo and Eze. Both of them are on penalties, but Mitoma isn't, right? So of course, there are different ways I can frame it, but Mitoma in his own right is a great asset as well. So I just think that because Mbeumo and Eze can be kept long term, I don't really have to move them around much, and I can use those transfers to downgrade Salah later on. That's why I've chosen to go for these two 6.5 million midfielders. Now, let's talk about Salah. Now, the reason why I've gone for him is because, of course, there are now extra funds from that Nkunku and Gabriel Jesus injury. And I think like Salah is someone that we kind of have turned down or not gone for because he's just too expensive, right? And on top of that, you don't look to captain him in game week 1, right, which is a lot of the reason why most of us gone with him last season, because he's a very explosive asset in game week 1, and then there's always that talk about how he doesn't do well in game week 2. Well, now in game week 2 he has Bournemouth, right? And of course, there is a chance that we may want to captain him as well. He'll be a great differential to have in game week 2 when he plays Bournemouth. So the thing is, I do feel like there are gains to be made here, and Salah at 12.5 million happens to be reachable now. So because of that, I've decided to go for Salah and try to make some gains there. Now, as for Bruno Fernandes, the last midfielder that I haven't talked about, of course, on penalties for Manchester United, and it's important to have Manchester United coverage as well, because they are a team that are doing pretty decent in attack as well, right, as we've seen in preseason. And of course, they have signed a number 9 as well now, so it remains to be seen how he will fit into the attack and the role that Bruno Fernandes will play. But in general, we know Bruno Fernandes is a player that creates loads of chances, and he's been looking for a number 9 that can finish, right? So hopefully Manchester United's new signing is able to finish Bruno Fernandes' chances, who actually in his own right is a great asset and should have gotten more FPL points last season. So let's hope he keeps it up. And this is my midfield 5. So now let's take a look at the forwards. Now up front, it's no surprise Haaland is in the team, and the surprise is actually João Pedro, 5.5 million, who is in my draft at the moment. Now I get what you guys will be saying, he's too risky, there are loads of Brighton assets or Brighton attackers that De Zerbi can choose, but for the time being, his direct competitor, I feel, is Ferguson, who hasn't played any minutes in preseason. Of course, there's Danny Welbeck, there's also Undav as well, but at this point, I feel like João Pedro is looking like the sharpest out of all of them. And on top of that, right, João Pedro is just 5.5 million, right? Even if I don't get this gamble with João Pedro right, I can just bench him, and in the future, I mean, come game week 2, game week 3, when I drop Salah, I can just upgrade João Pedro to Jesus or Nkunku whenever they come back from injury. So basically, João Pedro is a gamble that allows me to cover Brighton's first 3 fixtures, and of course, if he does play, right? It is taking a chance, but if he does play, he is kind of playing the center forward position that will get the most chances, and at 5.5 million entry into the Brighton attack, which is one of the better attacks in the Premier League, I think that is quite a bargain as well, right? So there we go. That's kind of the reason why I've gone with João Pedro. And let's take a look at the bench now. So Areola, Matty Cash, Kabore, and Mubama. So Areola, I will still keep him as my 4.0 keeper of choice on the bench. For Matty Cash, as I mentioned just now, Estupinian at 5.0 has been dropped to Matty Cash at 4.5. I probably won't be using Matty Cash in game week 1. He'll just be on the bench. But thereafter game week 1, when they play Newcastle, right, from game week 2 onwards, their fixtures are just so good. And I do think like Matty Cash is kind of the perfect FPL defender at 4.5 million because he's so attacking and he plays for Aston Villa, who are a decent defense as well. So I think he could be quite a good differential going into the season. He's of course scored 1 goal in pre-season and it's looking likely that he will be back in the starting 11 for Aston Villa after that injury from last season. So he is my 4.5 million defender of choice for the time being, right? And Kabore, 4.0 million, he looks like the best 4.0 million midfielder out of all the other options like Bayer, Baldock as well, right? And also the last one being Bell, right? So I do think like Kabore has the best output because he is playing right wing back, right? So attacking defender and also good defensive coverage. He's probably nailed for Luton Town, right? So Mubama is the last spot on my bench, 4.5 million. He's probably going to be a bench fodder, right? So I won't think too much about him, but he looks the most likely to get some minutes for West Ham as well after David Moyes' comments. So at this point in time, this is how my draft is looking like, a 3-5-2. By no means is it confirmed, but the thinking behind this draft has got me pretty excited for the start of the season, right? Because there are a couple of differentials in this draft. It's different from the template. There are quite a number of low-owned players, and I do think like these are calculated gambles that I may decide to take come game week 1, right? Of course, we're going to wait for more news on the Jesus injury, more news on the Nkunku injury as well, right? Maybe if Nkunku is back in time, this draft could change back to a similar one to the template. So we will see what happens. But for now, this is where I stand and I do like it, right? And of course, it is something interesting to note, right? Is that all my midfielders are on penalties and Haaland up front, of course. So that is a good 6 players who are on penalties, right? So that is quite a good, an attractive, way to think about it as well, right? So there we go with this team. Let me know what you guys think. I've used all the money in the bank, but I will try to free up some money later on by selling Salah. So let me know what you guys think. Drop your comments down in the comment section and I'll read through what you guys have to say. Let me know what changes you would make, or is this draft too risky, right? And will you make any changes? But for now, that's it for this video. Do check out Pooky. The link is in the description and I hope you guys play along with me, and if you do, add me as a rival as well. But for now, thank you for watching to this point and I'll catch you guys in more game week 1 content very soon. Bye bye.